This is the last part of the sex video series, and I'm so happy I get to discuss it in this video. I don't think I've ever had a chance to tell anyone about all my thoughts about how I see human sexuality. I don't think I've ever summarized it in any way, even for myself. This will be a very subjective description, also very male, so I understand this video will not be for everybody. I'm also aware that my views on human sexuality do not have to be accurate, so keep that in mind. Like with everything else, my attitude towards sex is very alien. I know that most people don't see it the way I do, and over the years I came to a lot of conclusions through observing human sexual behavior. Human sexuality and what humans did with sex is mainly responsible for my disrespectful attitude towards these species. This video could actually be a continuation of the human series I made a few months ago. I will talk about my sexual discussions with machine elves, I will talk about what I like and dislike about human sexuality, and I'll answer some of your questions you ask me about sex. This video is very personal and very intimate. I will tell you about everything that goes on in my head so that you can use my experiences and my opinions as a confirmation that what you might be going through is not that different and that you're not alone in it. You might feel that some of my arguments are contradictory, and I agree with you. Sex is a very conflicting issue for me. But I do hope it helps you, and if it does, please consider helping me with building the 434 structure. There are a few options to do it. You can use the Patreon option, PayPal option, Subscribestar, or cryptocurrency donation. I really appreciate all your help. Share this video with anyone who might need confirmation for their own sexual issues. Read the text that you see on the screen for more info. I'll start from telling you about my discussions with the entities about my sex life. Everything that the entities tell me is very wise and valuable, but sex is the only reason for my arguments with them. You can imagine how ridiculous it is. They are these powerful interdimensional gods and divine entities with unlimited knowledge, yet I dare to disagree with their plans for my existence here. The sexuality of my human form in this dimension is really challenging to me, and it is probably the biggest struggle that I have. It is mainly because of the conflict between me having the awareness of metaphysical nature of sex and the restriction imposed by them on me dedicating my life to exploring the sexual world of humans. If it was up to me, I would spend my life connecting spiritually with women here, learning as much as I can about the nature of this fascinating connection between humans. But I'm not allowed to do that. Sex for me has been so far probably the most fascinating element of being a human, and for years I couldn't understand why I always end up in a relationship with women who want to keep me for themselves or want to marry me, not concentrating on the physical side of love, but rather on the emotional attachment, enslaving my sexuality in the process. The entities explained to me the following. Your tools, in form of your talents that you receive to do your job here, make you such an interesting person that we had to add some obstacles and problems to your life that push people away from you so that you can concentrate on your path rather than the interaction with people. Sex is not your role here. You need to do your job. The reason why this happens is that you're on an important journey and women cause too big of an emotional ride, introducing too much chaos into your life. Your path doesn't allow that. You need to walk your path with no major disturbances. This discrepancy between what I feel is important and right for me and what they want me to do here is the cause of a lot of frustration in my life, and is the only reason why I argue with them. And I'm wrong to do that. They usually upload the right answer to my question before I even get a chance to ask it, and my anger is just me venting my frustration in front of them like, don't you know I have feelings too, or I know you have a plan but I have a life, and so on. They just watch me emotionless, and when I'm done they say that the plan is more important. I agree with them and get on with the communication. And then we repeat the whole process again on the next trip. Like with everything else, they did provide me with an explanation to how my past and current sexual experiences affected who I am, at the same time telling me that they're partially in control of my sex life. The most disturbing part is that women like me, and if I meet the right person, they're usually attracted to me, and the whole thing should be just an amazing sexual existence. But that's not the case, and this is why I get so frustrated with machine elves and them using me for a bigger purpose, which I know they're right about. Still, I'm a very sexual person, and it's really difficult being the monogamous me with those sexual restrictions and limitations they impose on my life. I understand the reasons they have are important, and the bigger picture matters more than my feelings, but it doesn't change the fact that it's physically painful not to be able to commit myself fully to exploring humans through sexuality. It's one of the main causes of anxiety, depression, and frustration in my life. So here's what makes human sexuality so fascinating to me. Sex is probably my favorite thing about humans. There are moments when I struggle with the idea of human species being worth their existence here. I always think that at least they're capable of taking part in this beautiful spiritual act that for a moment changes everything. Even when I don't like someone, I can still think about them positively, knowing that they can generate sexual energy. Human body is beautiful. I think it is a sophisticated, pleasure-generating device, and I admire its complexity. For me, the female body is one of the most beautiful things there is in this life. I'm aware that my DNA was coded to perceive it like that, but I do enjoy this aspect of being a human. Sex and music are to me psychedelic tools in everyday life. They change my mood, they make me happy, and they relax me. Sex is a physical experience that affects my mental state. It is like medicine to me. It cures my anxiety and my depression, and it acts as a muscle relaxant. The difficult part is that my body is absolutely dependent on regular satisfying sexual activity, and is a type of sexual tension that can't be released by masturbation. I think orgasm is the only thing in a normal state of mind that allows humans to have a psychedelic connection. It is the highest vibrational frequency we can achieve, and the fact that it opens a portal to another dimension and no one has really paid attention to it is mind-boggling to me. There is still so much we don't understand about ourselves. Sex is the only state that allows the consciousness of two bodies to become one. It is a transcendental sensation that if you were to experience as an alien, you would probably get addicted to. Sex is an incredible amplifier of love, and I think that sex can also be the ultimate expression of love. Sex generates the strongest emotions possible. In connection with love, it is the most powerful method of raising vibrational frequency. Because of the entities showing me the green energy fixing our body cells during an orgasm, I believe that there are unknown healing properties of sex that we ignore. We have a typical consumption-driven approach to sex, and we treat it like everything else, taking away any metaphysical aspects from it. I really like the power of my sexual imagination. To me, it is much better than porn. I don't know if it's just me or if everyone can enjoy it as much as I do, but I use my imagination a lot, especially during and for sexual purposes. I really like how sex makes everyone equal. No matter who you are, you will behave the same in bed as the rest of humans. When it comes to sexuality, there is no hierarchy. I love how you access somebody's hidden alter ego through sex. I love how intimate it becomes and that in this moment you are the only one who gets access to it. I think of it as a reward for the effort you put into the relationship and interaction that led to it. You get access to the knowledge about what they look naked, what they smell like, what level of passion they represent, and so many other things. This secret sexual persona of every human is something that really fascinates me. I envy women. The whole world is their playground. They can have sex with anyone they want, anytime they want. I hope I get to live to a point in our times when technology allows us to access somebody's mind. I would love to experience the sexuality of the opposite sex. Now, here's a list of reasons why I have a problem with human sexuality. It's an unproductive, unnecessary burden in my life. It distracts me, takes the joy out of a normal life, and makes me dependent on another person. All of these are unnecessary for me. I often wonder what it's like to exist in this reality without constant sexual pressure. What it's like to talk to a girl like a human being without subconsciously evaluating her looks and my chances with her. The internal sexual pressure is unhealthy and unbearable. It ruins self-esteem, causes depression, and is a driver behind many ridiculous situations in my life. If there was a pill to switch it off, I would be the first one to take it. I live in the world of higher consciousness, yet I'm enslaved by this bodily function that keeps the rest of my life needs hostage. It is like having a really bad business manager who controls your every action and makes moronic decisions. If you were to evaluate the pros and cons of being a human, sexual compulsions seem to be the most difficult and unnecessary element of life. It's annoying to me that it is a primitive element of human nature completely not in line with our lives today. We're all striving for conscious, intelligent, and spiritual existence, and sexuality holds us all back in our primal mode. It is like having a super powerful processor running on a pocket calculator. That's what I feel sexual compulsions do to us. I have an issue with the contrast between our sexes. I don't like how different we are, and I always say that if it wasn't for the human body, we would be two different species. I see men and women as mainly incompatible, although I know that it is possible for two people to find each other and live together happily. It is rare, but it happens. Nevertheless, majority of humans enjoy non-sexual relationship with their own gender. If it wasn't for attraction and sexual needs, we would probably have two separate worlds here. I don't like how humans distort sex, how it is sold, manipulated, traded, vulgarized, ridiculed, and used as a tool. I can't stand something so spiritual and beautiful being used for everything related to greed and personal gain. Like with everything else that humans do, sex became a commodity in our world. The best example of how distorted sex became is today's porn. I've been watching porn since the 80s and I don't like and don't understand what it morphed into, especially American porn. I love good porn, but what is being produced today makes zero sense. It bears no resemblance to anything even remotely sexual, and I'm always thinking how the young generation of today is supposed to get any pleasure out of it. Porn really sucks these days. The fact that we allow primitive human religions to demonize sex is outrageous. Most religions want to take away your freedom in every possible way. They want you to be obedient and enslaved, and there's no better way to achieve that than through shame. Vilifying the most basic and most beautiful physiological need is just evil. I don't understand why humans allow this to go on. From deciding who can marry who and what type of sex is allowed, to legally and culturally sanctioned genital mutilation of innocent infants, what organized religions do is just criminal. It is probably the most insane thing that humans collectively allow to happen. There should be sexual celebration of bodies as pleasure tools, and we don't do that. Instead, we demonize the human body, we cover it up. We remove any nudity from media, and we make sure that no one sees any skin anywhere. Because somehow it is evil, yet no one has a problem with depicting violence. You can show pictures of people being shot on movie posters around the city, but if you display any genitalia, there will be media outrage. I cannot understand why we allow our natural beauty to be taken away from us while physical destruction is glorified and promoted. At what point did humans decide that we can't show sex publicly, but murder in infinite amount is okay? I also have a problem with how quick society is to label as perverse everything that is not done in a missionary position in the darkness. It seems to please society you're not supposed to get creative with your body. I don't like the fact that humans don't do much to help each other sexually. It costs nothing, and it literally saves lives. A deep physical bond, even for a moment, can be a complete life changer for men and women, yet we only do it with a few chosen people throughout our lives. It always baffles me how people support a number of charities claiming that they want to change the world and help others, but when it comes to helping out another person with their sexual needs, hardly anyone is willing to do it. It costs nothing and is treated as if it was an act requiring an incredible amount of sacrifice. I don't get it. In 40 years of my life here, I met only a few girls who were aware of the power of their sexuality and how much it means to others. They were willing to save lives with their bodies, and it's not like they had to donate a kidney. They were just willing to sacrifice a tiny moment of their time to make somebody else feel amazing. Why are not all humans like that is beyond me. We reach sexual maturity too late in life. Ironically, we reach it being literally children, but our brains don't catch up with it until we're in our mid to late 20s. Sometimes even later than that. By the time we're emotionally aware of who we are as sexual beings, it is usually already too late to choose our life that would be in line with our sexual needs and preferences. My sexuality started early, around 7 or 8, and I was really frustrated for about a decade, not understanding why there's absolutely no structure in human life for my sexual needs at that age. I struggled with the complete embargo on discussing sexuality at my age. I was dying to meet a girl or a woman who would be willing to help me out with my sexual compulsions. It was only when I got older I understood the social implication of this, but still, it was a nightmarish decade, and that was the moment when I started losing respect for humans. It seems everybody is in a relationship with the wrong person because we have a problem with social sexual deviation that we use as a compass in choosing partners. We have weird, repressed, shameful, and inexperienced sex which in its current social form is abnormal from your expression of that which is biologically normal for humans. Remember that we share 99% of our DNA with bonobo monkeys, the closest human relative there is, and they use sex as a greeting. I don't like how a sexual relationship changes between people over time and how it is usually the first casualty of a troubled long-term relationship. Instead of developing this element of life, it is usually the one most likely to disappear from life. It becomes mechanical and forced. It seems most humans don't care about maintaining and working on this part of their relationship. I have a problem with the power that people have over each other when fulfilling their sexual needs. In every relationship, it quickly becomes evident who has power over who, and unfortunately, it is usually women who have control over sex, and some of them manipulate it for personal gain and control. Of course, men can do it too with other aspects of a relationship, but the sexual imbalance of powers bothers me, and it is mainly because as a man, I become dependent on another human being for my basic physiological needs. I can't stand this socially and legally imposed sexual slavery to your husband, wife, or your partner. I understand that, again, it is biologically conditioned to preserve the unity of family, but dear Lord, it is 21st century. We don't really use sex for reproductive purposes. 99% of it is for pleasure. We could let it go and make each other happy. Does anyone even think about the definition of words like cheating or unfaithful? In relation to what? Another human being claiming ownership over the most pleasurable part of your body? We're surrounded by hundreds of millions of potentially suitable sex partners, and we're not allowed to do anything because you could be jailed and lose your whole life because there is a signature on a piece of paper somewhere in a remote drawer? Why are humans doing it to themselves? It is not in our genes. These are artificially created nonsensical social norms that make everyone miserable. Although humans consider themselves advanced and developed, they are still operating on the archaic primal premise of mating. The issue of constant competition and the never-ending beauty contest. Since we're born unequal and attraction seems to play a major part in it, we're constantly preoccupied with our appearance and how we're being perceived. Physical attractiveness is extremely overrated in our society at the expense of personality and mental capacity. Looks is the unspoken currency of our social system. Personally, the more I like someone, the more I find them attractive, but I've noticed that's not the case with most humans. In our society, you can be an attractive jerk and you'll gain millions of followers. But you can have the most amazing personality, and if it's not attached to a beautiful face, you won't get far in this reality. Attractiveness for me is connected with personality. The more I like someone and the more I'm connected to them, the more I want to make them feel good physically. It seems it is a concept lost on regular humans, which is a shame because we would be much more willing to make an effort in being nice for each other. And now some of my issues related to being a man. I don't agree with the ridiculous aspect of male attractiveness being strongly related to money and prosperity. I understand that this has biological, logical, and social foundations. Nevertheless, it is something that makes a man's life very difficult. For a woman to be attractive, all she needs to do is take good care of herself, but a man can only be truly attractive if he cultivates an interesting personality and has impressive achievements in life. From a biological perspective, I feel it's an unfair imbalance. I hate that it's a game. You need to be a player to be attractive to women, and women like that game. I wish I could just say, you're attractive, let's have sex, but it needs to be a trust-building game, an emotional game, or a test game. It needs to be something. Any man who listens to his internal masculinity will be immediately labeled as insensitive or ill-mannered. I really don't like that we need to adjust our behavior to the opposite sex and that we're being ourselves only around other men. I met only a few women who have this relaxed sexual approach that I have, and my every relationship with a woman usually ended up in a long-term relationship or them wanting to marry me, which I guess is a good problem to have, but not for me. So my conclusion would be this. Boys and girls, save each other. Be generous with your bodies. Enjoy safe sex. Make each other happy and get good at it so that you can create a life that is fulfilling sexually and emotionally. Don't fool yourself that you can be in a happy relationship without it. Explore your bodies and learn about its reactions. Have as much sex as possible as soon as possible. Don't wait for the one. To get to the one, you need to know what you're looking for, and you will only know this through practice. Emotional and mental sexual maturity is very liberating, and it will make you a happier and more fulfilled person with a more conscious existence. Enjoy your body, love it, and be proud of it. It is an amazing pleasure-generating biomachinery. Now to answer some of your questions. What's the definition of sex? Sex is a mental and physical activity between humans, the purpose of which is pleasure. I came up with this myself, so I'm not sure if that's correct. Is sex good? Yeah, it's the best. Even interdimensional entities enjoy it, so you should too, as much as possible. Is porn anti-spiritual? No, as a genre, it is not anti-spiritual. In fact, it can be very spiritual, but modern porn is just weird and cringy. What about sex with multiple partners? Yes, as long as you don't hurt anyone in the process, the more the merrier. And damn, you're lucky. What about masturbation? Go for it. There's a reason your arm ends where it ends. Masturbation is healthy and it is the easiest and cheapest sex you can get. Semen retention. I don't believe there's anything sacred about it. I do understand some of you who say that you need to preserve your sexual energy to be motivated and creative. But for me, sexual attention is an obstacle in creating and doing anything, so... Okay, tell me what sex is for you or what you love or hate about sex. Leave your comment below. I love reading everything you say. The next video will be about courage, and it will be an important update for all of us as things will be gaining momentum now. This channel is supported through your generosity, so if you feel what I do has value, please finance the 434 plan. Video link in the description. I need you to share this video with others so that we keep these messages spreading. Remember about b434.com in case anything happened to this channel. Join all other social media for regular updates. And join my second vlogging channel if you want to hear my stories. Watch the rest of 434 videos. Read the video description for links and more info. Love, 434.